We're back out here once again, and today we're talking about what just might be one of the absolute best days I've had on the water in years. And it all boiled down to two things: the conditions I saw and the old school baits that allowed me to catch so many fish. We're going to talk all about it, so stick around. I have honestly lost count of how many fish I've caught today. Ooh, I just got waked on right there. Oh, I got him. Oh, that's a good fish. Oh, that's a good fish. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. We as anglers, we dream about those epic days where we catch 20 or more bass in just a couple of hours. You know, those days are all too rare. But if bass fishing were easy, it wouldn't be nearly as much fun, would it? It's the challenge that keeps bringing us back to the water. However, yesterday was one of those epic days. It was easily one of the best days I had on the water in years. Even better than some of the days I've had during the pre-spawn. And the strange thing about it is, well, it was in winter time when that water is supposed to be pretty much unfishable. But there were two things that allowed me to have such great success. Now, if you've been watching the channel lately, you know that we've been under an extreme cold snap here in South Mississippi. While the rest of the country is being blanketed in ice and snow, here in Mississippi, we've had a couple of weeks of really chilly, frosty nights and temperatures not really getting out of the mid to high 40s during the day. For us, that's really cold. We actually had a couple of days where we didn't get out of the 30s and we had some frozen rain. And those days were really tough on the water. But then things turned around the past couple of days. We got back to normal temperatures. Right now, it's in the mid to upper 70s. And yesterday, it was at 80 degrees, which is normal December temperatures for us. But those bass, well, they reacted to that like crazy. It gave them a chance to have a reprieve from the cold, and they took full advantage of it. Now, when I got out to the water, I did not expect to have such a spectacular day. I had some other things that I wanted to do. I've been fishing with that Thunderstick lately, and I've modded it a little bit. I put a split shot on it just to see if I could get it to suspend, and I was working with some deep diving cranks. I was trying some ideas to see if burning a lipless or burning a deep diving crank during the wintertime was viable. But before I got a chance to even do any of that, I looked and saw the conditions, and I saw those bass were active. They were chasing balls of bait, and not just busting, with that rolling splashing that you're seeing where the bait is coming up out of the water and the bass is hot on their heels. When I see that, it means one thing: topwater. But I didn't have my topwater box with me. I didn't even think about it because it's been so long since I've had a topwater blow up, since I've caught a topwater fish, that I didn't even think about it. So I looked in my tackle box and I had one topwater lure, and that was this guy right here, this old as dirt Smithwick Devil's Horse. Now, this thing is, I don't know, I've had it probably between 40 and 45 years. I honestly need to change the hooks out. It's probably got the original hooks on it, but this thing is so faded and worn and old. But this is what I had. I tied this on, and I found a pocket where I saw those active bass, and I went to work. And I'm telling you what, it didn't take any time at all before those bass were reacting to that lure, and I was starting to get some really good blow-ups. Oh, he went up after it and I missed him. I got a topwater blow-up. I'm going to try that again. He went up after it and I missed him. I'm going to try that again. I can get that dude. Okay. Got him. Got him on the Devil's Horse. All right. Come on, buddy. Look at that. Not a bad fish either. All right. So they are hitting top water in late December. This poor old bait has seen such better days. I really need to change the hooks on this thing. Right at a pound. Nice little bass on top water on the Devil's Horse. Appreciate it, buddy. Beautiful fish. And there he goes. Let's go see if we can get another topwater bass in December. So I caught a fish almost immediately on that Devil's Horse. And the strangest day in the middle of winter I've ever had was taking place. I caught so many fish on that Devil's Horse. But it was still kind of odd. That water had warmed up, but those bass were still lethargic. Rather than inhaling it, they were knocking at it, and then they would come back and bite it. Some of those bites were really very tepid, and it was hard to get them to commit. I missed a lot of blow-ups. While I caught a lot of fish, I missed a lot of blow-ups because they would knock it, but they wouldn't take it under the water. So that became where it was sort of frustrating. But once I figured out what they were doing, once I figured out how they were working it, I was able to consistently hook set those bass. Although, as you can see in this one, you can tell that those bass were really not feeling like they needed to commit. Whoa, look at that. Hello, kids. Hello, kids. Come on. Faster, faster, faster. And over there. Yeah, we're good. Oh, no, I missed him. Got him that time. That's a good fish. Oh, goodness gracious, that's a good fish. Oh, it's another good fish. Holy cow. Just catching good fish all day today. Boy, I'm telling you what. I would cash a check in the tournament today. I'm telling you what. I don't know how many fish that is I've caught today. I honestly don't. Son of a gun. I'm sorry, dude. Just when you thought you were free. All right. Pound and a quarter. Not quite a pound and a half. Another beautiful, gorgeous fish. Amazing, amazing day. All right. Let's go catch another one. The Devil Horse was doing great. But unfortunately, if you've ever fished an old balsa bait like this one, you know they have a tendency to become waterlogged. And when they do that, they don't sit on top of the surface. They kind of sit below the surface, and they don't work nearly as well when you're trying to get them to move across the water. They don't spit. They don't make the noise. So fortunately, I actually had my other old Devil's Horse with me, and this thing here is just as old. But I had changed the hooks out on this recently, so it was actually in much better shape. I tied this one on, and I went back to work, and I started catching more and more bass. So I was fortunate. This one stayed on the surface for a little while longer, but even after a while, this bait started to get waterlogged, and it started to sit in the water, a little bit lower in the water than I wanted to. And those bass in that one pocket, I caught all these fish in one pocket. I did not move from that area to catch fish. I searched around some other spots, but the bass were just not as active as they were in that one area. And the thing about that is how we've talked about before, how those bass haven't gone very far. They just pulled into some deeper water. That's exactly what I was seeing. The bass did not head north as you would normally think they would on the big lake to head into the shallow water. No, they just stayed right in the same areas they've been and just kind of climbed up the bank, and they were right on that edge, right on the verge of that weed line where that water dropped off. That's where they were all day. And you can see in these videos all the activity. You can see all the bait that's being chased and how the bass are reacting to it. And I wasn't using anything fancy. I just had, my normal braided. This is basically my do-it-all setup for when I'm fishing heavy vegetation. This is 40-pound braid, and this is a new braid. This is a braid that I'm working with, and I'm telling you what, this stuff is really good. This is flipping braid, but I was able to cast with it quite well. I've got it on a 7-foot medium heavy rod, and I'm just using, this here is a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader that I've got probably about 6 or 7 feet. And I had tied this on because I knew I was going to be casting it a little bit further. It worked great. That setup worked amazing. That was all I needed. I caught predominantly all my fish on just 2 lures. One of them being that devil's horse. But the other one I changed out to because, well, the bass were starting to get wise to that devil horse. I didn't have any other topwater baits with me. So I decided, you know what, if we're going to go old school, let's keep it old school. And I changed out to this guy, a good old Rebel minnow. I knew they were chasing bait in that area. I knew they were chasing small minnows, not necessarily big shad or big shiner. They looked relatively small, but there were huge clouds of them. And this mimicked what I saw pretty good. So I tied this on, good old Rebel minnow, and I'm telling you what, on the very first couple of casts, this is what happened. I'm seeing all sorts of action. I'm getting farther away from where I want to be, because of course I am. Oh, there we go, I got him. That's not a bad one either, kids. It's another nice fish. Rebel minnow doing work already. All right. That's a nice dark colored healthy fish. Quit. Another, not quite pound and a half. Maybe right in that pound and a half range. Beautiful. Rebel minnow doing work. He went after it. Yikes, get myself. I mean, that's another good one. Right at a pound and a half. Beautiful fish. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that. Oop, and there he goes. All right, let's keep it going. So that Rebel minnow did great work right off of the bat. And the thing is as I fished it, those bass were hitting it the same way that they were going after that devil's horse. They would tap at it and tap at it and tap at it, and I would have to pause it and twitch it and then pause it and then twitch it. Those bass I could see in that clear water were all over that little Rebel minnow. In fact, this catch right here, this series of events right here with this particular bait worked in that area, you can see just exactly what I was talking about because I had bass playing with it all the way back to the boat. For those of you who are dealing with hard water right now, my condolences. Seriously, my condolences. I'm probably going to end up tying that countdown minnow on at some point. Oh, I just got knocked, but he didn't take it. Come on, you going to quit farting around and take the thing? He keeps... Come on, get it. Come on. He's right there. There, I got him. All right, look at that. He kept messing with it right there and messing with it right there. Look at that bass, that beautiful, beautiful bass. He did that. He came up after it like 4 times. Pound and a half, almost pound and 3/4. I'm telling you what, we are doing work today, kids. We are doing work. That Rebel minnow is doing work. The devil's horse is doing work. Just these old school lures. Look at that beautiful fish. Look at that. Pound and a half fish. All right, buddy. Appreciate that. Oop, and there he goes. So that bass right there at the boat finally committed. But you could see the entire time I was playing with it all the way back to the boat until it finally decided it wanted to commit. And in that clear water, I was watching it the entire time. But that's how they were. They were active, but they weren't inhaling it. So it was very much like the pre-spawn, in the fact that they were very active, but at the same time, it was different because they weren't just inhaling everything. They were still very much tapping at things and nibbling things, which is indicative of a winter bite. It was kind of crazy, but I worked those two baits in conjunction, changing back and forth all day, right in that one area. And I was able to pull out some really nice fish. I don't think I really caught a really small dink. I think the smallest fish I caught was about a pound, but the biggest bass that I caught, the nicest bass that I caught, well, that beauty was just around 6 pounds. You had it me. There we go, Tara. Got him. That's a better one. Whoa, that's a good one right there, kids. That's a good fish. That's a good fish. Oh, that's a good one. That's a big bass. That's a big bass right there. Holy cow, that's a big bass. That is a big bass. Oh my God. That's a 6-pound bass. That is a 6-pound bass on top water, kids. Just a hair north of 6 pounds. Maybe not quite 6 1/4, but a beautiful bass. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oops, there he goes. All right, let's go catch another giant just like that. So that's how it went all day. The Devil's Horse and the Rebel Minnow. I was swapping back and forth between the two, trying to keep those bass on their toes. And it worked great. Now, when you think of the Devil's Horse, you're probably thinking of South Florida, Roland Martin. And when you're thinking of a Rebel Minnow, you're probably thinking of maybe trolling it along ledges, trolling it near the bank, and getting those bass to bite like that. But I just kind of twitched it along and let it pause, twitched it along and let it pause. I would crank it every once in a while, but that's how I was getting most of my bites. And those bass, having just one day to warm up, they took full advantage of it. So if you're out on your fishery and you get a chance, you see that one day when the water warms up just a little bit, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss that day. You may not get 1,000 topwater fish, but I'm telling you, those bass will be more active and they will be biting. So that's a day you definitely don't want to miss out on. So there you have it, an epic day on the water, all because the temperature warmed up a little bit. It doesn't happen very often in the winter, and when it does, those bass are going to take advantage of it. And you should take advantage of it too. And I'm telling you, those old school baits are really going to pay dividends on days like that. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.